Hello, boys and girls, and all freaks that fall in between. This is Jim here once again, and I've got a really exciting knife to show you. One that I feel very fortunate to have in my possession and have in my collection. Those of you that have not been paying attention to my channel recently, you'll see a lot of activity about Reate knives and production knives that are being made in China. And I've mentioned quite a few times that once you set aside any preconceived notions about things made in China, you set all that garbage aside and just look at the quality of the product that's being presented to you, it is damn hard to say that you don't like a Reate knife. I myself have 7, actually technically now 8, and I could not be more impressed with a low-cost knife. Now again, low cost is relative. If you're typically buying mid-tech and custom knives, then yes, Reate knives are very inexpensive. Beginning some as low as the $200 range, going up right around $450. I haven't seen anything go above $450 yet that I can recall. What we're looking at here is a very special knife under a Todd Begg design. I want to be very clear, this is not a knife that Reate is making that's just based off of a Todd Begg design. This is where Todd Begg has gone to Reate and said, we want to make our first full production knife, and we would like you to make it for us. So I want to be very clear, it really is a partnership. I hesitate to use the word collaboration because that really makes you think of a traditional custom knife collaboration where one maker is designing, another maker is doing the work, or they're splitting the workload. This is not a custom knife, and I cannot be more clear about that. We have seen now so far 2 very big names go over to Reate. We've seen Liang Ma with his little kind of it's almost like a mini Kwaiken style. This is his Warrior 1. That has sold out pretty much instantly, and everybody that's gotten one has sung its praises, of course, like I did. And then Fazal Yaman, along with Vince Roberts at Fort Henry Custom Knives, who designed this and had Reate make it. This is the Valkyrie. I just uploaded the video to this last night. The big deal about all this is that some of the biggest names in this industry have recognized the quality that Reate is putting out, and they want to have something with their name represented by them. And you got to realize, Todd is a guild member. Todd has been around. He's handled a zillion custom knives from other makers. He has some of the most impressive work in his own knives that you will ever see in your entire life, which is why his knives start at $4,000 for a custom. And he has chosen to go to Reate. Now, I want to be very clear that their whole goal here was that Todd and Mark and everybody at the Begg Central realizes that most people will never be able to afford their mid-tech knives, which would be like the Glimpse 5.5 that I own and the original Bodegas. Then, of course, they've got the Bodega 2 and the Bodega Slims and the Begati. They're all expensive knives. When these first came out, these were $850, but you guys know they go for around $1,500 right now. But like to get a Glimpse 5.5 or to get your hands on a newer Bodega in the Bodega 2, I mean, you're starting at about $1,100 and going up. And most people have called it out. These are the most expensive mid-tech knives that exist, with most mid-techs being in the $500 to $700 range. Well, they've proven themselves to be very much worth it. The quality is there, the unique design is there, the workmanship, the materials, the incredible detail that they've always put into their knives. It's worth it. Still doesn't take away from the fact a lot of people just can't afford to do it. And most people will never be able to afford one of Todd's full customs, starting at $4,000 and going up. The custom Kwaikens that I've handled were all $5,000 and up, and they were amazing and they're impressive, and we'll talk about how they compare to this. Before I get too far into that, realize I do understand that the proper pronunciation is Kwaiken. I've discussed this on the Jake Quayback video, went into the full history of what a Kwaiken knife is. If you haven't seen it, stop now, go back and watch that. It'll give you the whole history from feudal Japan and all that kind of great shit. But the point is, we have Americanized the word. We call it Kwaiken, so that's how I'm pronouncing it, okay? So with that realization that they're not going to be able to sell as many mid-techs and customs to as many people as they'd like to, they decided it's time to make a full-on production knife. And they talked to everybody. They went everywhere in the United States and elsewhere to see who could make at their quality level that they're expecting for the price that they want to go out at, which in this case is $445. Yeah, that's right. It's under $500. Who the hell would have expected that? And Reate was the only one that could accept the challenge to do this level of detail, this degree of perfection, and the quality of action, and still be able to do it at a price that Todd really wanted to go out at. So it was like a marriage made in heaven. Now, when we take a look at the blade here, we're going to see that it has a different logo. When you look at a custom, you'll have one logo. When you look at a mid-tech, you'll have another logo. And now the Steelcraft series, which is the name for their production knives, that is to differentiate them from the mid-techs and customs, so there's never any confusion and no reseller could ever misrepresent the product. You have a new logo and a new name. So it'll say TB for Todd Begg, Steelcraft Knives. So you know it's always a Todd Begg design that will be manufactured at full production capabilities. Let's talk about the original versus the production for a moment. So you look at the original, the Begg Knives. It is a very large, very heavy knife. They're the same basic dimensions in overall length and blade length. So you're looking at the original, like the original prototype was a 4-inch RWL 34 with hand-rubbed satin. This one is going to be a 4-inch S35 VN that's media blasted and then tumbled. So you've got that nice dark matte finish, but you've got that smoothness that the stone wash is going to provide. And it gives you kind of an everyday finish. You're not going to be afraid to use this knife and, you know, cut shit with it. Number two, the original had seamless inlay, so it was full titanium, and these areas here were completely seamless inlays, whether it be carbon fiber, lightning strike carbon fiber. Let's see, what else has he done? He's done superconductor. He even did beautiful full Damascus, and by the way, that knife weighed a tremendous amount. And then you have what I like to call the Begg channel that has the signature alternating size holes. So as you see here on the production version, it is full titanium, 6AL4V titanium. And what they've done is they've done a tremendous amount of milling. It's all fully 3D sculpted, 3D machined, contoured, which again the original was contoured as well. And what they've also done is they have milled pockets inside of both handles that allow it to be extraordinarily lightweight. Now I'm going to tell you right now, this is at least 50% slimmer than an original full custom. I love how the custom feels in the hand, but I actually prefer this. This is a lot more manageable. The custom, I believe, is actually even thicker than the bodega that I have right here. So there's a really nice slenderness to it that I think perfectly accentuates the overall design. Besides just flipping it, another nice thing that you can do if you really wanted to is you could just do this, opening it kind of manually. I mean, you're never going to want to. This is a super fast, very smooth flipper. It's more about being smooth than being fast. I mean, when you pick up like the Valkyrie, it's faster, equally as smooth, but there's something almost hydraulic about this. It's just a wonderful smoothness. Now, there are only two prototypes that exist. The original that Todd Begg made himself and then gave to Reate to base this prototype off of. This prototype was given to Todd, and it had no edge on it. For those of you that picked up both knives at the Blade Show, the one that had the edge on it was Todd's custom build, or his hand build, and the one that had no edge on it at the show was the Reate prototype. And the differences are almost indistinguishable in the action, and visually there is no difference. And then Todd Mark took it back, wanted to put an edge on it before they sent it out to me, or else I would have come home with it from the show. it really is an awesome, awesome knife. You look at the original, and you've got ceramic IKBS and ceramic detent. Well, hey, guess what? You get ceramic IKBS, and you get the ceramic detent. You'll also get that same notification here, like if you ordered your Glimpse 5.5. If you had regular IKBS, you had a steel ball bearing in your clip. Ceramic IKBS, you'd have the ceramic detent ball there in the clip. And this helps to denote that, just like in the mid-tex. Now, I don't know about the lock face that was used on the custom. I just don't remember looking at it. This does have a steel lock bar insert that's fully hidden. We've discussed this before on the Valkyrie and also on the Warrior 1. The way they do it, they do not cut the lock bar shorter and insert a piece of steel that engages the backside of the blade. Instead, they've hidden it down inside. We pretty much aren't going to be able to see it here. We can try, don't know if you can, but there is a steel-on-steel lockup down inside of the lock bar. It also is going to act as your over travel, so you can't overextend the titanium. That's something I don't see anybody else doing. You got to realize how brilliant all of these things are. The original weighs over 7 ounces. And like I mentioned, the one that had the Damascus inlaid into the handle, that weighed even more. That was probably closer to 10 or 11 ounces. And it was a very, very thick handle. This weighs significantly less. As a matter of fact, it weighs just about, and I'd say, yeah, it's almost equal to my Glimpse 5.5. So it's very, very lightweight in comparison. Another big deal about this is the custom-made pocket clip. What you've got here is a very low riding, but still very accessible, sculpted titanium clip, skeletonized, and featuring the ceramic detent ball. And that, of course, has become a signature of Todd's work, going quite a far ways back, before the bodega even. Very, very well done. You also have kind of a dual purpose here. It's a skull crusher and also your lanyard opening as well on the back of the jimped backspacer. Very, very similar to the backspacer you'd find on the full custom. Guys, it's amazing what you're able to get into for the money. The Steelcraft Sun Tzu Kwaiken is an incredible feat. When David had talked about his partnership here with the Beggs, he was very appreciative to Todd for pushing him to do things he had never done before. And he actually told Todd and Mark, he goes, "You've actually made me a better knife maker by taking on this project because of all of the unique work that goes into it." Get a nice good look at the blade here. You'll see the groove running down the flat. I always hesitate to call that a blood groove because we know that's not really an appropriate term. Beautiful clean chamfer going around the front edge of the handle. Terrific milling. All of this, by the way, very sharp detail. Then they've actually polished. It's a very, very high satin, almost a polish on the Begg channel with the holes. Great two-tone effect between that milled channel around here and the Begg channel down the middle. Everything on this is full titanium, and both sides match. So you've got a perfectly balanced, perfectly equal knife from backside to front side. I love seeing quality like this, especially at this price point. Let's face it, Reate is absolutely spoiling us knife collectors. You could not expect this level of quality in a mid-tech or production knife unless you were spending significantly more, at least a couple $100 more. Now, there are probably going to be a lot of flavors available. This one is done in the all stonewash with a two-tone handle. They're also going to be doing a version that's all stonewash but with a black titanium nitride coating on the handle. So it's got a very dark black look to it. It's very slick. I don't know what others are coming. I'm sure they're going to have different anodized variations and whatnot. And I'm probably going to try to find a way to have a couple different ones in my collection too, because I've already carried this a couple of times. I've only had it for about three days. I've already carried it twice, and I've just had so much fun with it. It rides so well in the pocket. It is slimmer and lighter weight than the Bodega, even though they are just about the same size. I've never actually done this before to see. And the Kwaiken is actually a touch larger. Remember, that's 3 3/4 inch blade. This is a 4-inch blade. So the Kwaiken is actually a little bit larger. So it would be very comparable, I guess, to the Glimpse, because the Glimpse is larger than the Bodega. And put them butt to butt, as all things in the universe should be. And wow, yeah, the Kwaiken's still a little bit bigger. So there you go. There's your size comparison between the two Begg products that I own. Well, I own a mini Glimpse friction folder, but that would just be silly to bring out here. Now let's talk about this move to China. And listen, so we already talked about Liang Ma, we've talked about Faisal Yaman, we've talked about Todd Begg. There are still another handful of makers that have not announced it that I know have been in talks with Reate Knives. And this is just what's going to be happening. If there is a segment that they cannot reach, if they cannot make enough knives to satisfy the demand that's out there, if they can't make the lower price level that much of the consumer base would demand, this is the way they have to go. And it's not a bad way. Listen, if they were going to some cheap China manufacturing, sweatshop labor, and putting out crap quality, everybody would be called to the carpet immediately. But we haven't heard any complaints from any owner of any Reate knife. Nor have we heard any about the Warrior 1 or the few people that were able to get the Valkyrie. Everybody just talks about how insane the quality is, how perfect the action feels, how wonderfully detailed and precise each and every knife is. The people making these decisions are not dummies. They're thinking this through a lot. And listen, they're listening to the objections where people are going, "Oh, don't buy nothing from China." They don't want to offend any of their buyers, any of their collectors, any of their fans. What they're doing is they're offering a superior product at a very affordable price. And it's your choice whether you want to buy it or not buy it, simply based on its country of origin. Now, I can speak to the whole sweatshop labor thing. It's David Deng, the owner of the company, is the machinist that does all the programming, that cuts all the parts, that does this work. There's not a bunch of little Chinese kids running around getting paid a handful of rice at the end of the day. No. This is a professional in his professional shop with his professional employees. And they're putting out a damn good product. The Beggs are not going to risk their name by putting out something that's cheaply made. Listen, if the only option was to make this in the U.S. and sell it at $600, if that was the only good quality option, then I'd be sitting here talking about a $600 production knife made in the U.S. But the fact of the matter is, the quality is there, the detail work is there, and it's good enough for Todd to stamp his name on the blade. And if you can't trust that, I don't know what you can trust. If you've never had a chance to meet Todd at any of the knife shows or communicate with him or Mark via Instagram or any social media outlet, I suggest you do and realize how brilliant this family really is, how talented they are, and how business savvy they are. And very few knife makers have great business sense, and that's fine because they're artists, they don't need to. But Todd and Mark have great business sense and common sense. And when they realize they can reach a segment of the market previously untapped, and they could do it with a fine quality product, that's exactly what they did. I know the pre-orders have been open at Blade HQ. It's currently open as of the time that I'm making this video on June 21st, Father's Day, actually, 2015. Blade HQ had a pre-order up. I don't know if it's still open. Fort Henry Custom Knives as well, and gpknives.com. All are phenomenal dealers. I know them all personally. They are amazing folks to deal with. Grab it wherever you can. They're going to be running basically monthly runs. They're going to sell out. They'll make some more the next month. David can't make these as fast as he can make something like this or something like his production Reate Knives. These are simpler. There's still a lot of work and a lot of quality there, but they're simpler to do than this knife. So this one takes him longer. They're not always going to be around. So get your pre-order in if you can. And if you can't, or you just want to start hearing from more people when these make it out there, I certainly understand that. Pay attention and listen to what people say. And then try to jump in as quickly as you can, because I can promise you this. You're going to love the shit out of this knife. Oh, yeah. This is every bit as satisfying as fingering a custom, as fingering a really high mid-tech like the Bodega, or fingering, okay, I'll just leave it at that. Just have fun with it, enjoy it, and I want to hear some feedback from people that actually have one when they get it. Please, I'd love to see what you guys say and see if, well, was Jim full of shit or was he onto something? Oh, you'll know soon enough. All right, guys, I'm out of here now. I'm going to try to make a couple more videos this week, try to catch up a little bit. I want to thank Todd and Mark for their friendship and for the mutual admiration that we have for one another. I'm very fortunate to be the one to come out here and show everybody the prototype and to have it in my collection and be able to carry it and love it and enjoy it. So thank you guys very much for trusting in me. That means a hell of a lot. And I'll see you guys on the next video.